Book of Heaven, Volume 4. 9th to the 18th of December 1902. Page 157 to 162. December 9, 1902. Luisa is crucified with Jesus. The danger of the law of divorce. As I was in my usual state, I found myself outside of myself together with Jesus Christ, as though nailed with him, and since I suffered, I was silent. In the meantime I saw the confessor with my guardian angel, and the confessor said to him, "This poor one is in great suffering, to the point that she cannot speak. Give her a little bit of respite, for when two lovers pour out together what they have in their interior, they end up conceding what they want to each other." So I felt my sufferings being mitigated, and first I told Jesus about certain needs of Father, praying him to make him all of God, because when one becomes so, God can find no difficulty in conceding to him what he wants, because he will not be able to seek anything but what pleases God. Then I said, "Lord, what about this law of divorce? Will men come to make it in Italy?" And he, "My daughter, the danger exists, unless some Chinese thunderbolt comes to prevent their intent." And I, "Lord, what? Is this perhaps someone from China who, maybe, when they are about to do it, will take some thunderbolt and will cast it into their midst to kill them, in such a way that, frightened, they will flee?" And Jesus, "When you do not understand, it is better if you keep silent." I was left confused and did not dare to speak any more, without understanding the meaning. However, my guardian angel was saying to the confessor, in addition to the intention of the cross, united to that of having him poor, if you obtain this, you will win this point, and they will not be able to do it. December 15, 1902. Luisa remains crucified with Jesus. Man is about to be crushed by the weight of divine justice. Continuing in my usual state, I found myself outside of myself, and I found my adorable Jesus, cast to the ground, crucified, everyone trampling upon him. In order to prevent them from doing this, I laid myself upon him so as to receive upon myself what they were doing to our Lord, and while I was in that position, I said, "Lord, what is it to you to allow those very nails that pierce you to pierce me as well?" At that moment I found myself nailed with the very nails that pierced blessed Jesus, he underneath, and I on top. In that position we found ourselves in the midst of those men who want divorce, and Jesus was sending them many rays of light produced by the sufferings that he and I were suffering, and they remained dazzled and confused. I also understood that if the Lord will please to let me continue to suffer, when they come to do that, they will be humiliated and will not be able to conclude anything. After this, he disappeared, and I remained alone, suffering. Then he came back again, but he was not crucified. He threw himself into my arms, but he was so heavy that my poor arms could not hold him, and I was about to let him fall to the ground. Seeing that, as much as I did and tried, I could not hold that weight, my pain was such that I felt myself crying my heart out, and he, seeing the certain danger of falling, and also my crying, cried along. What a harrowing scene! Then, forcing myself up, I kissed him on his face. He too kissed me, and I said to him, "My life and strength, by myself I am weak and can do nothing, but with you I can do everything. Therefore, strengthen my weakness by infusing your very strength in me, and I will be able to carry the weight of your person, the only way to be able to spare each other this sorrow. For me, of letting you fall, and for you, of suffering the fall." On hearing this, Jesus told me, "My daughter, don't you comprehend the meaning of my heaviness? Know that it is the enormous weight of justice which I can bear no more, nor can you hold, and man is about to be crushed by the weight of divine justice." On hearing this, I cried, and he, almost to distract me, since before he came I had a strong fear that I might not be able to obey with regard to certain things, he added, "And you, my beloved, why do you so much fear that I may not let you obey? Don't you know that when I draw, unite and identify a soul with me, communicating my secrets to her, the first key I place, which produces the most beautiful sound and communicates the sound to all other keys, is the key of obedience? So much so, that if the other keys are not in communication with the first key, they will sound in a discordant way, which can never be pleasant to my hearing. Therefore, do not fear. Besides, it will not be you, but I myself will obey in you, and since it will be up to me to obey, let me do it, without being concerned, for I alone know well what must be done and how to make myself known." Having said this, he disappeared, and I found myself inside myself. May the Lord be always blessed. December 17, 1902. In order to be a victim, permanent union with Jesus is necessary. This morning, when my adorable Jesus came, I was praying him to placate himself, saying to him, "Lord, if I cannot sustain the weight of your justice by myself, there are so many good souls among whom it can be divided, a little bit each, so that it might be easier to bear the weight, and people might be spared. And he, and you, my daughter, don't know that so that my justice may unload the weight of someone else's chastisement upon some soul, she must be in possession of permanent union with me, in such a way that everything she does, suffers, intercedes for and obtains, is given to her by virtue of the union with me established within her, as the soul does nothing but lay down her will, unifying it with mine? Nor could my justice do this without first giving the soul the necessary graces to be able to suffer for the sake of someone else. And but how can union with you be permanent in me? I see myself so bad." And he, interrupting me, added, "Silly one, what are you saying? Don't you feel me continuously within yourself? Don't you perceive the sensible movements I make in your interior, and the continuous prayer that rises within your interior, as you cannot do otherwise? Is this perhaps you, or I who dwell within you? At the most, sometimes you do not see me, but in no way does this mean that union with me is not permanent in you." I remained confused and did not know what to answer. December 18, 1902. Jesus again takes her to suffer with him in order to conquer those who want divorce. As soon as I found myself in my usual state, blessed Jesus came, but in so much suffering as to arouse compassion. Then, all afflicted, he told me, "My daughter, come again to suffer with me in order to conquer the obstinacy of those who want divorce. Let us try once more. You will always be ready to suffer what I want, won't you? Do you give me your consent?" And I, "Yes, Lord, do whatever you want." As soon as I said yes, blessed Jesus laid himself within me as crucified, and since my nature was smaller than his, he stretched me so much as to make me reach his very person. Then he poured, very little, yes, but so bitter and full of sufferings, that not only did I feel the nails at the places of the crucifixion, but I felt my whole body as pierced by many nails, in such a way that I felt all of myself being crushed. He left me in that position for a little while, and I found myself in the midst of demons who, on seeing me suffer like that, said, "In the end this damn one is going to win again, so that we don't make the law of divorce. Curse your existence, you try to harm us and to disperse our businesses by ruining our many toils, rendering them vain. But we'll make you pay for this, we will move bishops, priests and people against you, so that next time we'll make you drop this whim of accepting sufferings." And while saying this, they sent me whirls of flames and smoke. I felt myself in so much suffering that I could not understand myself. Blessed Jesus came back. At the sight of him the demons fled, and, again, he renewed in me the same sufferings, but more intense than before. He repeated this 2 more times, but even though I was almost constantly with Jesus, I would not say anything to him because I was as though compressed by strong sufferings. Only he would say to me from time to time, "My daughter, it is necessary that you suffer for now. Have patience, do you not want to take care of my interests as if they were your own?" And he would sustain me in his arms, for my nature could not bear alone the weight of those sufferings. Then he said to me, "Beloved, do you want to see the evil that occurred during those days in which I kept you suspended from this state?" At that moment, I don't know how, I saw justice. I could see it as full of light, of grace, of chastisements and of darkness, and as many days as I had been suspended, so many were the streams of darkness that descended upon earth. Those who want to do evil and speak evil had become even more blind and had acquired strength to carry it out, turning against the church and against sacred people. I was surprised, and Jesus told me, "You thought it was nothing, so much so, that you would not bother about it, but it was not so. Have you seen how much evil came about, and how much strength the enemies acquired, to the point of managing to do what they had not been able to do during the time in which I had continuously kept you in this state. After this, he disappeared,